The picture attached to this video says all. It was taken at 12 o'clock in Leicester Square on Friday afternoon, and I'm speaking to you on Saturday afternoon. There is nobody about. And that isn't just a temporary situation, that's a permanent situation. We've researched 8,000 office tenants, and over 60% of them say that 30% of their workers are not going to come back into the office. That doesn't mean that the 30% will be made redundant. There will be quite a lot made redundant in most companies, but companies will work on shift work, whereby there'll be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday team, a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday team, a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday team, or some other arrangement whereby people will be working from home 2 days a week. And how does that affect the bar, club and restaurant industry? That's already been devastated. 6 months of closure has knocked most of them out. We've then got social distancing, which affects their ability to trade at 100% if they were 100% full. And now, over and above that, even when we go back to work, there's going to be 30% less people coming into town. So unless you're in one of the towns where people live, the answer is if you're in a commuting town, the bar, club and restaurant market is finished as we knew it. And there needs to be an adjustment. The first adjustment is that landlords and bankers should decide that they want to keep their tripartite relationship, because at least they've got an operator and the accommodation doesn't fall vacant, where it will be picked up by some other operator, but probably not the best for their property, because most properties have found their best operators. It also means that even when one gets back to work, if there's a debt which is owed by the company to the landlord, he's not going to be able to pay it, on top of the struggle to get back to 70% of his previous turnover if that creates a profit. And so there's got to be an absolute readjustment of the negotiation status between the landlord and tenant under a pre-coronavirus lease. There's a very simple way of doing that, which we've tried to avoid for a long time, which is called the CVA. And most companies can actually do a CVA. The majority of the companies that we've looked at, and we're talking about some very strong tenants, are in a position to do CVAs. And all that you have to do to get a CVA through is get 75% of the votes, counted by the pound. So if you owe somebody £182, that's 182 votes, to vote in favour of the CVA. 50% of those voters can be connected voters. So, for example, if directors are owed money by the company, or if there's an investor in the company, he's called a connected voter, which means that all you've got to do is have a balance between the debts that you owe to everybody but the landlord against the landlord. And if you get 50, if it's 50-50, then with your 50% of connected voters and your 25% of unconnected voters, the CVA goes through. And when the CVA goes through, you write your own terms of the lease if you want the lease at all, or the CVA could decide this company has a future, right? It hasn't. If it has to run on the past, it's not going to work. And therefore I'm going into the CVA, and you can drop the lease as well. And the reason why CVAs haven't become prevalent yet is because the government extended the moratorium where landlords can't collect rents from September to December, and we were expecting October to be CVA month. But now we've obviously deferred that. That January will be the CVA month. But companies who are really ahead of the game are actually preparing to do CVAs before they owe more debt to the landlord, because when December quarter day comes up, in order to get the mathematics across, you've got another quarter's rent which is added on the landlord's scale, and might tip the balance in favour of the CVA not going through. So very unfortunately, I put a close to what the leisure market as we knew it. I don't think it's got any chance of survival on the previous relationships between landlords, tenants and bankers. And I hope that landlords and bankers would actually see that it's worth trying to work with their tenants to rearrange their situations. And then we get on to the office market. I think I don't need to give my view as to how far it's going to fall, but Lehman's fell at 32%. It fell 32% between June and December 2008, where rents in Queensbury House, Old Burlington Street, were 102 in June, 78 in September, and 68 the negotiations I handled in December, and took till March 2015 to recover. But they didn't have this threat that office workers were not coming back to work. And with 30% of office workers not coming back, the same as applies to the leisure industry is going to apply to the office business. And it's sad news to give, but at least it's honest, and at least it's from the heart. Most of the commentaries we read come from the property industry themselves, who are obviously protecting their situations